Well, that was unexpected. I wrapped at 3:20 and 3:22 in the afternoon. Now, sometimes, Judge, we could be having a hearing or something, but it felt like this went faster than anybody was expecting.
I think so. I think they were anticipating that the defense would ask more questions of these witnesses, and so the time with each witness would have been longer if the defense had asked questions. Yeah, I could see how this number of witnesses might have taken us till 5 or 5:30, but since they did not cross-examine these witnesses for the most part, that's why we're finishing at 3:20.
I know it's amazing. My son was, wanting me to come pick him up and by 5, and I told him, I said, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm sorry, but I think I might actually make it unexpectedly here.
Right.
But let's walk back through the day of what we saw. So, and then we'll just kind of see if there's going to be any more activity. Because sometimes when they wrap up like this, there's a hearing or something that they want to discuss before tomorrow.
Right.
We had obviously the opening statements, but what we saw today was very much a step-by-step building blocks of this case. The first person was this Plano dispatcher who gets this 911 call that they put that in evidence, and then of course a Plano paramedic, a Plano firefighter, then a Plano police officer, and that gets us to Mary Bartell, her deposition describing how she is attacked in her home. She fixated on these green gloves. She couldn't mute my laptop. Hold on. Sorry, I probably wasn't supposed to read that out loud, but I'm going to mute my laptop. See, I have issues with following directions. Sorry if I'm driving people crazy out there. But yeah, so I mean, they walked this through. We heard, Mary's deposition. She couldn't describe her attacker, but other than the green gloves, but describing that fear. But a neighbor's son has, records this license plate, and that leads them to Chemirmir. And now, Judge, walk us through what you heard from the detectives that we heard this afternoon.
So the detectives basically they took the case from that point where they received the license plate of the car from the neighbor's son. They know Miss Bartell suffered an attack and survived it. Now they want to follow any leads of suspicious activity, which, according to the neighbor's son, Mr. Chemirmir being there for the long period of time that he was suspicious to him. And so the police were naturally just following up on that. And so the detectives methodically walked us from how they took the license plate number, got the name of the person who had the car, found out that Mr. Chemirmir had been in possession and was driving that car just 2 days after the attack from Miss Bartell and 2 days before the police were actively researching him. They found where he lived and started surveillance. They realized that he had an arrest warrant out for a Class C public intoxication. So that gave him the legal justification to detain him. And so when they went to go make the arrest, that's when they noticed him going to the dumpster and in possession of all this jewelry and items that are connected both to Miss Bartell. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we heard evidence of the jewelry going back to Miss Bartell just yet, but they definitely showed that he was in possession of the jewelry box that connects us to the victim in this case, which is Lou Harris. And so so the detectives basically took that information, contacted DPD, who did a welfare check. We didn't get to that point yet. We haven't heard from anybody from Dallas Police Department, but presumably some witness, probably in the first witness in the morning, is going to tell us about what they found when they did that welfare check, and which is Lou Harris deceased in her home. So that's how we've gotten here. That's the connection that they've made to Mr. Chemirmir.
Questions?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, it's really kind of hard to glean where they're going with their defense. Are they going to have something like I was mentioning earlier, a structured defense, like an alibi? That somebody else did it. They didn't even ask Miss Bartell in the deposition. Did other people have access to your apartment? Were you sure the jewelry was even in your home on the day you say that this happened, maybe it was stolen a couple of days before and you just didn't know it. They didn't even ask those types of questions. So it's hard to know where they're going to go with it. If they know that their defense is just going to be to attack that this is too circumstantial of a case, and that no matter how much evidence the state puts on, the defense's argument's going to be it's just not enough. Because there is no eyewitness, there is no person who's going to walk in and say, I saw Mr. Chemirmir do X, Y, and Z to the victim. We know that's not going to happen. So maybe the defense is just relying on that, and so they're not really challenging how he came into the possession of the property. I would still assume that they're still going to at least need somebody to come in and say, this is how he got the property. I got it, I sold it to him, something to kind of blow a hole in these connections, because right now we haven't heard anything.
No, not at all. And if anything, we're just building blocks. I mean, that jewelry box with that consulate, that piece of paper from the consulate, it's pretty, pretty important stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you know that, the mixture of his paperwork with her paperwork, it's one of those, it's small, but it's an important connection. Like, why would, if Miss Harris and Mr. Chemirmir are complete strangers, why would their property be intermingled like that? Why would his paperwork be with that? So it's one of those connections for sure.
It is something. Are you hey Judge, are you muted over there?
I'm not muted on the computer because I'm only hearing you on the computer. Hold on.
Oh, you're only hearing me on
No,
the computer?
I'm hearing you in the earpiece. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just mute. Yeah,
I muted my computer.
We're having to remember to mute stuff. It's
Yeah.
part of the technology we're having
Yeah.
to deal with.
Sorry.
So the trial's wrapped up for the day. We're going to wrap up for the day. I would expect, and I agree with Judge Cañas, we're going to hear presumably from the police officers who found Lou Harris's body. I would expect that to be first up tomorrow if that's what they're doing. They're going chronological, step by step, step by step. That's what would make the most sense. So we were expecting this trial to go 4 days. If it goes this fast, it could be 3 days. It could be really fast. It's like I said, it's pretty shocking how fast we ended today. So anyway, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you guys join us tomorrow morning. Thank you.